One of my greatest joys is writing for Choice Magazine, and I have penned the Coaching Mastery column in the magazine for now a decade. In the issue in December, we're talking about what's hot and what's not, and what really matters in coaching. And of course, I titled my column, What Most Matters. And we're talking about coaching mindset. Yes, this is a brand new competency in acknowledgement of us, the coach, the self. Who are we? How do we show up? How do we interact with our clients? How do we make choices and decisions in a session or even in the way we're relating with our clients over time? I think sometimes we forget what we mean by mindset. It's not something people are asked to talk about very much. So an idea I'd give you right now, hit pause on this recording and write down your own definition. What is mindset? All right, welcome back. Now we're going to put the word coaching in front of that definition of mindset because this matters a lot. It's actually an internal stance, a way that we recognize what is our unique expression. Who are we authentically? Because of course, who you are is how you coach. You will attract people that are resonating. They feel a vibration with you. This is someone I can trust. This is someone I can share what most challenges me. And they will not judge me. They will receive it and help me to awaken my own consciousness. Yes, that's my definition of coaching. Of course, it will ultimately maximize potential. And the way we get there is that we have an opportunity for someone to listen more deeply to us about what's underlying the choices and decisions that I'm making, the way I'm showing up in relationships. Now, I'm speaking, of course, here from the client point of view. So how do we as coaches make that happen? Well, it begins with ourselves internally. There's a whole bunch of behavioral science research that will tell you that 90% of what you do, completely unconscious. No wonder change is so challenging. And of course, as adults, when we learn the practice of coaching, we're having to unlearn a whole bunch of unconscious habits, routine actions, preferences, dare I say, even biases and assumptions we make about what does and doesn't work. This is all wired into our bodies, into our neurophysiology, into something called the Reticular Activating System, RAS for short. Sometimes that's a little easier to remember. The good news about the RAS is that it helps us conserve energy, and it is also the agent of change. The step to get there, however, is that we pause and we give ourselves a moment with an artful question from my coach to reflect, to pick up hindsight, and to re-examine the experiences of our lives through an alternative viewpoint. The question itself that a coach asks the client challenges them to consider, might there be another right answer to what was going on in that moment, in that situation, in that relationship? From hindsight comes insight about my internal motivation. What are the things that are guiding unconsciously out of my habits and preferences, the way in which I am interpreting what's going on? Might there be something else? So you see, this is the territory when you show up in a coaching mindset that you are asked to be navigating with clients. This is what the first skill is all about when it's describing being client-centered. We're not asking questions for our benefit. We're asking questions for the client's benefit to allow something to surface that they do not yet know consciously. And of course, that's how we activate the RAS. This is the signal to the client's body. Oh, something different is wanted. I wonder, maybe it's time to change the habit, and it would be even better at conserving energy. Because, of course, that's what we're after. The stress and discomfort and doubt and uncertainty that clients bring to coaching sessions is what we are attempting to replace with a sense of resource, accessing something internally. In order for us to do that, we must have had that experience ourselves. How do coaches do that? Reflection. You'll see that skills 2.3 in the article. And I've also given you some practices, some particular kinds of questions to be in an inquiry about over time. The greatest accelerator to growing as a coach is a reflective practice. Not just writing in your journal, but writing in your journal with an intention to say, wow, what motivated me to show up with the client that way? How did I choose this? I was mentor coaching somebody just yesterday, actually, and this person was realizing that a conversation had with the client just before they hit the recording to do the session had hijacked his perspective. And he kept thinking about that conversation while in the midst of the session and realized that it was the reason he didn't boldly challenge the client to reconsider the habits and preferences and assumptions the client was making. So it was a missed opportunity and very wonderful to see, because he realizes now what he was doing to mentally and emotionally prepare for the session got hijacked by that conversation, and he could have recentered with the client but didn't decide to. Perhaps you can see in this why it was so important to the ICF and really all of us as coaches to acknowledge that coaching mindset and the work we do to have one that is open and available fully for the client is essential to ethical, high-quality professional coaching. You know, there's a link down below to the article, but there's also another video here about how do you shift your mindset. Learning how to shift your mindset is one of the lifelong gifts you can give yourself, and I know you'll enjoy that video too.